Hey, what's up? My name is Alex. I'm a professional music composer, and today I want to do a bit of an analysis slash reaction to the Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers main theme, composed by Masayoshi Soken. Freaking amazing piece of music. I actually listened to this track a couple times because I played the game and it's freaking incredible, but today I want to give you the overview from a composer's perspective in a way that is easy to understand. So let's go. Just love how solemn this sounds, and it goes very well with this trailer. Even if you haven't played the game, you know exactly what's going on, and you feel that. Fun trivia about this melody is that this is the first ever melody you hear when you play this game, and it's the leitmotif of the game. So, ba, 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 ba. You're gonna hear this melody in many different ways throughout the soundtrack of the game. That's what the leitmotif is. It's a recurring melody that you hear throughout all the soundtrack, and Final Fantasy games are full of those, especially the Final Fantasy XIV. This one sounds, in my mind, also similar to the one in Heavensward, which is another expansion that goes like. It was interesting to hear the melody in this manner. It's like they're taking that and reshaping it in a darker and more sad tone. It sounds awesome because it's been like provided by this solo vocalist, which is very good. I also love how the strings sound very dense, but not too big, like a full-on ensemble. It's just a few string instruments that provide the sadness that we're feeling right now. So far, it's the track, even though it sounds quite simple and tame, it still has a very dramatic sound given by its space. If you notice in the vocals, there's loads of echoes. And though that echo is given by reverb, it's something you can put on top of instruments and stuff like that to make them sound wide, as if they're being played in a huge cathedral and stuff like that. So there must be loads of reverb on those vocals, and the strings, they just sound awesome. It's just beautiful. Here comes the cool part. I really love this. Just awesome. Sounds so freaking dark and ominous. So what I love about this part is how everything sounds so dark now. And even though this is given in my mind because of distortion. So if you check out the guitar, so that sort of riff there, that is almost a clean guitar, but not completely clean. Like, this is not full-on heavy metal yet, but you hear that sort of crunchiness on the guitar. It's because I think they added the drive distortion to the guitar, which is what makes the guitar have that sort of crunchy sound. And it makes, like, when you add those effects on top of an instrument, it changes the character of the instrument. It changes the timbre, and in changing the timbre, you can take one melody to sound in a completely different way. So this riff on the guitar, which is quite simple, sounds freaking ominous with the, this drive. And also, there's distortion on the vocals, which is like, he's whispering the vocals. I think this is the singer from the band, The Primals, which is the band that made the music for the Primal boss fights in FF14. And now he's whispering, but he's whispering with distortion. That's why it sounds so like, creepy almost. It just adds up to this beautiful dark atmosphere. I love it. That bass. Jeez. Wow. There's the melody on the vocals again. So it's the same story, but in a whole different context now. And you hear the strings and everything else building up underneath. Check out that bass. Sorry guys if I stopped this, I'm such a music nerd, I have to make you notice. Bass is an instrument that is like usually underestimated and underappreciated from most composers, but Masayoshi Soken does stuff like this. And that was nice, like Cast of tomorrow. Normally it ends with that cadence, but now it's tomorrow. Like it makes you feel, something's about to happen. Like this track has to drag you on for a 6-minute trailer. So they are playing with these cadences to like make you hyped up for what's about to come. What I was saying about the bass before is what I love in Japanese composer soundtracks is that they really use very well crafted bass line. And the bass line is something people might not notice at first, but it really adds up to the beauty of a track. And you hear a lot of those in the previous classic Final Fantasies, like 4, 5, and 6. In the soundtracks, there's some crazy bass lines. And I think FF14 is like a love letter to those older Final Fantasies. And it's beautiful that Masayoshi Soken is representing that same vision in his music. And I'm sure if this is like cultural, they just do that in Japan, or if he wants to really bring like homage to the Nobuo Uematsu soundtracks of the old days. But this is freaking awesome. There we go. Heavy guitars now. So awesome. So now we're going kind of back to the same, verse we had before with the whispered vocals, but the guitars now are very much more distorted, much more aggressive. But most especially, even though this is very similar to what we had before, the background has changed. Now we have some organs doing it, which kind of reminds me, by the way, of the Ramu boss track from the same game. And I also freaking love the drum pattern that now has open crash. Like we didn't have those before. And sorry if I stop again. I just love how this sounds almost like the singer is enchanting a spell. It's like whispering these dark vocals. You cannot really make out what he's saying, but it's like sounds freaking dark. And if this was sang in a normal way, it wouldn't sound this dark. So this whole track, it represents the mood of this game in such a beautiful way. It's just beautiful. Love that. Those freaking drums, man. Isn't that super epic? Jesus. I'm getting goosebumps even now. I heard this song a few times because I played Shadowbringers. I'm still getting goosebumps when I hear this choir part kicking in. Like what you're hearing now is home, riding home. It's like, I think it gives me the same God of War vibes that when you hear the God of War main theme from PS4, kind of makes you grow a beard and makes your testosterone levels go to the roof, through the roof, because the leading melody in God of War is sang by a full male choir that goes to like super low notes, and they are singing in a way that's called marcato, where you're not singing like soft like riding home, but you're singing riding home. It's like screaming on top of your lungs. And, it just sounds freaking awesome, most especially because it's just male. So it has a very dark timbre. And it's a beautiful passage. It like takes us away from the rock guitars for a second. And it just, makes us go into this orchestral field for a second. And now the guitars are back. So it's like interweaving the different ideas. And check out that bass line. Jeez. Can you hear like different vocals? There's like different melodic lines to this choir. So what you're hearing, you feel mostly just the top line, but there's also stuff underneath that is harmonizing. So that's also why this choir sounds freaking huge. Let's check it out again. So you have that on top of the actual melodic choir. And then the bass line just, wow. okay. Eternal Wind from Final Fantasy III. I was talking about how this wants to pay homage to classics. There you go. I love how this moved to a whole different motif now, but it still feels like it's the same song, and that happens because the stuff underneath the main melodies, etc., is still quite consistent. The chords we have, the instruments we have, the mood of those instruments feels kind of the same, but now you have this solo violin playing this melody. The drums are going quite crazy also, I love that. And it's so good to hear guitars on this theme. You think this sounds like this melody, this theme was from a SNES game, and it sounds so good when you phrase it on modern instruments like this. It kind of makes you understand how much of a forward thinker Nobuo Uematsu was. He was writing music for chiptune and stuff like that, but he was thinking about it, conceiving it in a way that could be performed by orchestras, by bands, and stuff like that, and it translates so freaking well. This is why I love this video game series in terms of soundtracks. It's just so freaking undying. I love these vocals. It's crazy. Wow, okay. I freaking love how this track ends, like with those same vocals and that same riding home. But the thing that happened here, I believe, at the end, by the way, with the riding home vocal, is I think what happened is a modulation. Like this sounds not riding home like dark, but home. So what you have here, basically, I was talking before about this choir has many different melodies on it, and so they are playing chords. In music theory, there's like many types of chords. There's major chord, like the two most basic types, but there's many more, are major and minor. Major sounds quite happy and grandiose, etc., and minor sounds dark and sad, right? And this choir, this track is very, very minor throughout. I think it's in a minor key. But here at the end, like, oh, that sounds very major. So after all the darkness we had for like 6 entire minutes, you have this passage that goes major for a second, just a second. And that happens when the Warrior of Light, which becomes the Warrior of Darkness in this trailer, tackles these enemies and wins and stuff. So that was a freaking beautiful passage. It's an amazing prelude to a freaking amazing game. Honestly, I totally recommend to any Final Fantasy fan to play FF14 Shadowbringers and the expansions before. But this, in my opinion, is one of the best Final Fantasy ever made. Freaking awesome stuff. I think Masayoshi Soken could probably like become Nobuo Uematsu's legacy. I can totally see him scoring the next big AAA Final Fantasies, because what he's doing for these soundtracks is just mind-blowing. And to consider the amount of tracks he wrote for FF14 until now is crazy. And each track sounds so different from the other and stuff. So guys, let me know if you want to see more videos like this on FF14. I'm gonna do more reactions for FF7 Remake as the new tracks come out, I think next week with the vinyl. So if you want to see more reaction, let me know. Leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think about this video. Subscribe. And also, if you want to check out my music, I make Final Fantasy covers, especially Final Fantasy VII Remake imagined tracks. That would be something that might interest you. So that's all for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one.